Recently, the developers of the Better Balanced Game mod ran a poll in their Discord asking users to rate each Civ's power level on a scale of 1 to 5. Furthermore, respondents were also asked whether they primarily played Teamers games or free-for-all games. Well, the results are in, and the number one Civ right now, according to the community, Australia. Wait, that's not right. Hold on. Forgive me. We should be filtering the results to only look at responses from free-for-all players. And the number one Civ for free-for-all multiplayer Civ 6 with a Better Balanced Game mod is Tokugawa. So, what makes this leader so perfectly suited for free-for-all games anyway? The answer becomes clear as we look at his abilities. First off, Tokugawa's leader bonus grants him a massive amount of yields on internal trade routes, at the cost of reducing the yields on international trade routes. Whereas other civs can form a scientific alliance with their allies, slot in the Whistle Bank and Policy card, and trade to them to grant both players +2 science, food, and production per trade route, this selfish prick of a leader just wants to keep all of his traders running internally all game. Furthermore, Tokugawa is actually one of the only leaders in the game with a coastal spawn bias, but no bonuses whatsoever to naval play. Seriously, it doesn't mention harbors or water anywhere in his leader bonuses or civ bonuses. In a 5v5 game where the other team is at war with you the whole time, it can be dangerous for the civ to exist on the same coastline as an enemy Spain, Norway, or even the other Japanese leader Hojo, all of which have better early game tempo or war bonuses than Tokugawa and can threaten to kill him before he really comes online. However, in a free-for-all game where players are incentivized to avoid waging wars early on so that they can scale better into the late game, all of Tokugawa's weaknesses disappear. Suddenly, we're left with an incredibly versatile, extremely powerful civ that nobody wants to spawn next to, as Tokugawa's internal trade route bonuses make him a rather lousy ally. Naturally, Tokugawa is the civ with the single highest ban rate in CPL free-for-all lobbies on the current BBG patch. If you want to play this civ, you'll have to find a lobby with nothing but absolute suckers, a pen of sheep who are blissfully unaware of the wolf that lies in wait. In other words, I shamelessly farmed a lobby filled with novices in order to get footage for this video. Starting from the beginning, we'll be running a traditional Harbor Rush opener. Seeing as how we have 2 decent sea resources to improve right away, we elect to go for a builder first. One of the advantages of opening with a builder instead of a scout as a naval civ is that builders are the only land unit in the game that require just the sailing technology to embark. So after spending our builder's first 2 charges, we're able to use them to scout along our coastline. Of course, with all of these sea resources, getting our hands on the God of the Sea pantheon is ideal, and we're lucky enough to snag it before anyone else gets a chance. Even if we missed God of the Sea, the Better Balanced Game mod is gracious enough to add a second sea resource pantheon, Goddess of the Tides, which we would have chosen as a respectable backup. Between first meeting a scientific city-state early on and settling on top of Mercury in our capital, we have much higher science than normal and unlock celestial navigation super early on turn 16. When placing down our harbor, it's tempting to go for the spot with the highest adjacency, but doing so here would be a huge mistake. First off, as we're playing Japan, all of our districts gain bonus adjacency from all of our other districts. Therefore, we want to place our harbors in a spot where we can get multiple land districts adjacent to them. Secondly, we also need a legal tile next to the harbor upon which to build the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, which, as we'll be exploring later, is absolutely critical to maximizing Tokugawa's potential. As soon as we can, we spend some gold we have saved up so that we can send a trader from our second city to our capital. As we've already finished a harbor, our bonus yields on internal trade routes are already kicking in. I actually covered how internal trade route yields are calculated in the very first video on this channel, but in case you missed it or forgot, here's a quick refresher. Every district in the game grants either +1 food or +1 production to every trade route sent internally to that city. The exceptions to this are the Government Plaza and the Diplomatic Quarter, which both grant +1 food and +1 production. And, of course, our leader bonuses as Tokugawa grant every district +1 science, culture, and gold on internal trade routes. As a result, our ultimate goal in this game will be to maximize the number of districts we can build in our capital so that it becomes the ultimate trading destination. In keeping with this goal of maximizing our internal trade route yields, our first governor choice will be Magnus, and our capital will immediately go for the Government Plaza as its second district. The Government Plaza inherently grants one extra adjacency to all nearby districts, and gives an additional one for us on account of our Japanese bonuses, so we make sure to place it in a nice location where we can surround it with districts later. As is typical for all non-religious civs in BBG, we go for pen, brush, and voice as our first Golden Age dedication, since the extra culture is super important for reaching a number of very important power spikes in the medieval era of the civics tree faster. One more thing that's noteworthy about this spawn is that we were fortunate enough to meet the city-state of Auckland. This city-state grants extra production on all improved water tiles in our empire. This is actually a nerf by BBG, as in the base game, it grants its production bonus to all water tiles regardless of whether or not they're improved. Regardless, it's still a top tier city-state, and we want to take control of it badly enough to warrant spending a governor title on Amani early, so that we can get some extra envoys in it. On turn 33, we do something that seems a bit goofy at first. We build a holy site in our capital. This is done for two reasons. The first is that we simply want another district, any district, in our capital so that it can boost the yields our civ bonuses are giving on our trade routes. The second reason is that the holy site is the only district that we are able to discount at this point in the game. If you don't know what district discounting is, it's an obscure, complicated mechanic that I've dedicated a whole video to, so you should go check that out if you want more information. Since we have 4 trade route capacity, we're about to be sending 4 traders to our capital. Holy sites grant +1 food as a base yield on internal trade routes sent to the city they're in, so placing this means we're getting an extra 4 food, 4 science, 4 culture, and 4 gold total from our trade routes. Not only that, the holy site grants us 3 faith itself from adjacency, and grants our second city's harbor an additional 1 gold from adjacency due to our Japanese civ bonuses. When you add it all together, it becomes clear that rushing this district out right away is by far the best play. Afterwards, our capital finishes another settler and then gets started on the audience chamber. In BBG, this building grants extra food and housing in every city with a governor, which synergizes with Tokugawa's desire to get his capital to as high a population as possible in order to unlock more district slots. It's important to remember that cities unlock a new district slot at the following populations: 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, and so on, gaining a new district slot for every 3 population. These are the breakpoints we need our capital to hit to get extra yields on our internal trade routes. After finishing the audience chamber, our capital starts rushing for the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. This wonder is critical on Tokugawa for 2 reasons. The first is that our strategy of maximizing the number of districts in our capital will inevitably lead it to having very few workable land tiles, so we want the water tiles we're forced to work to be as high quality as possible. The second reason is that this wonder grants an extra bill charge on all great engineers, which as we'll see later is actually especially good on Tokugawa specifically. Following the best practices for any civ, we rush straight for the feudalism civic in order to unlock the serfdom policy card so that we can spam 5-charge builders everywhere, chopping everything and improving all of our tiles to accelerate our game. Simultaneously, we rush for the apprenticeship technology for the passive +1 production it grants on all mines, so that our builders actually have good tile improvements to build. Another advantage of the apprenticeship technology is that unlocking it allows us to begin construction on our industrial zones, which is super important on account of the fact that these districts will allow us to secure our great engineers. We finished them faster using some chops from the wave of 5-charge builders we produced just earlier. After we have our industrial zones finished, we want to consider running some projects to generate great engineer points. There are 4 medieval era great engineers that'll be offered before any others. The 2 which grant production towards wonders are desired by all civs, including us. However, our main target is an engineer which typically tends to get overlooked, B. Sheng. This engineer grants an extra district slot in the city he's activated in. Furthermore, as we have the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, he'll have 2 charges instead of 1, so we'll actually be getting 2 district slots out of his effect. This is massive value. Every single district slot we have in our capital as Tokugawa translates directly into additional yields on every single internal trade route we're running. We really want this engineer above all else, and luckily for us, other civs are very likely to pass on him in their efforts to get to the other, more conventionally useful engineers instead, making securing this guy usually pretty easy. However, the order in which the first 4 great engineers of the game are offered is entirely random, and B. Sheng isn't showing himself. Our capital did just reach 10 pop though, so we've unlocked the ability to place a 4th district in it. If you remember the beautiful graphic we looked at earlier, you know what's coming next. We go for the diplomatic quarter in our capital, as it grants +1 food and +1 production on all trade routes sent to it. While this district grants an extra envoy when placed next to the city center, it's actually more important to just place it somewhere where we can maximize the number of districts it's adjacent to in order to get the most value out of our Japanese bonus towards clustering our districts. From here, it's just smooth sailing while we wait for the great engineer we want to show himself. Finally, the great engineer we've been waiting for has decided to show himself. While we run some industrial zone projects for him, our builders are hard at work building fisheries along our coastline. The Better Balanced game mod allows fisheries to be built in any city upon unlocking the cartography technology, and most of the time, this tile improvement is actually pretty useless. However, we're still the suzerain of the city-state of Auckland, and as this city-state grants bonus production on all improved water tiles, fisheries are actually worth building here. Furthermore, the food and housing they provide will help our capital to reach higher population breakpoints, unlocking more district slots. Our medieval-era Golden Age dedication this game is Free Inquiry, which grants science equal to the adjacency of our harbors and commercial hubs. Our harbors have pretty high adjacency in general thanks to our Japanese Civ bonuses, and we slot in a policy card that doubles their adjacency to further boost the science yields provided by our Golden Age dedication. Finally, we're able to get our hands on the great engineer we've wanted, and we put him to work increasing the district capacity of our capital. Here's where our internal trade route yields will finally start to get really goofy. Currently, our capital has 4 districts completed, and as it just reached 13 pop, it has 5 district slots. Adding in the 2 charges from our great engineer, and we'll be pushed to a whopping 7 district slots in our capital, meaning all of our trade routes will be getting 7 science, culture, and gold from our leader bonuses. Of course, we rush to finish all of the districts our capital can build right away. Commit our turn 58 stat line to memory and pay attention to just how much our stats explode over the following turns. Then you'll understand the power of Tokugawa. In the meantime, our other coastal cities are all building their shipyards. These grant production equal to the adjacency of the harbors they're constructed in, and as we have extra harbor adjacency from our Japanese bonuses, and we're already running the double harbor adjacency policy card for the sake of free inquiry, this ends up being a lot of production. To help finish these faster, we run the policy card for 30% extra production on buildings constructed in harbors. On turn 61, we finish researching industrialization, and obviously, we want to put up our unique factories and power plants right away. Coal power plants actually provide production equal to the adjacency of their district, and as we get a ton of extra adjacency on our industrial zones from being Japan, and some more from slotting in the double industrial zone adjacency policy card, we're getting as high as 18 production per turn from some of these power plants. That's huge. They're paying for themselves in under 10 turns. Meanwhile, our capital continues building more districts. A theater square finishes on turn 61, a campus on turn 63, and an industrial zone on turn 64. We're at 7 districts now, but we're not done. Our capital just reached 16 population, unlocking an 8th district slot. At this point, we're just cruising to victory, and we're so far ahead that we can pick up whatever wonders we want. We go for Forbidden City, Kiwa Kisiwani, and the University of Sankor. Our trade route yields are already ridiculous, but with this wonder, they can be even better. As we go on our wonder building spree, something funny happens. We complete the Oxford University, instantly completing 2 random technologies, and it throws us a curveball. We're given the irrigation technology as one of our rewards. As it turns out, we just completely forgot to ever grab this tech since we never had to build any plantations. Kinda funny how that works. Turn 74 rolls around and it's time to choose our 3rd Golden Age dedication. Most civs here would choose Reform the Coinage, but not us. After all, this dedication only works on civs that run their trade routes internationally, but all of our trade routes are being run domestically. As a result, we have no better option than to pick Drums of War, a dedication added by BBG that grants extra production towards units and extra yields on encampment buildings. On turn 79, we unlock and enter into the fascism government. Like most fascist states, this government doesn't last very long. After building a war department in our capital in order to unlock the fascist legacy policy card, we opt to switch into communism on turn 80. Whereas most civs prefer democracy for the extra yields it grants on international trade routes, Tokugawa's leader bonuses push us towards communism instead, where we can run the collectivization policy card for an additional 4 food, 4 production, and 4 gold on all internal trade routes. All in all, every single trade route we send to our capital is now granting 13 food, 12 production, 15 gold, 10 science, and 9 culture. Are you starting to see why Tokugawa is banned all the time? It's at this point that the rest of the lobby decides they've had enough, and they concede the game in our favor. Thus, we finish shamelessly farming a weak lobby for some CPL rating points. Even more shameless than this, however, is the behavior of our neighbor, the Ottomans. This guy is unironically sending us all 22 of his trade routes, despite the fact that he's getting 0 in return. Now, I get it. Each district in a city also boosts the yield of international trade routes sent to it, and he's in Reform the Coinage for an additional 3 gold per district at the destination. With our capital having a fat 9 districts completed in it, it's no wonder that he's tempted to trade to it. However, at some point you have to realize that feeding the Tokugawa, who's never going to send any trade routes back to you, while you have another ally who's starving and getting no trade routes at all, is not exactly viewed kindly in CPL. Oh well. Thanks for watching to the end. If you want to catch full games of Civ 6 multiplayer live, be sure to follow me at twitch.tv/Herson100. Remember to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Herson, signing out.